Oh, there we go. The golden questionnaire everyone asks. Can we confirm chat's working for everyone? Hello, Mona. Good to see you. I know the week's gonna
Hi,
be great now.
good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Thank you for joining every week. So now we know we're gonna
Yeah.
have a solid week. This is awesome. Great. Um, sweet. Hi, everybody. If you've been here, I've seen some common faces. You know how this works. Please drop in the chats where you are from and the temperature, because it seems like that's a big thing now.
Absolutely, yes. Go for it, people.
We have Germany in the chat, Amsterdam, Wisconsin.
Swapna, can you see Slack, please, for a second?
Yep.
Nice. Okay, we got New Jersey, we got London, Washington, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I am going to convert that right now. Let's do it. What's 70 degrees Fahrenheit? 21 Celsius. That's good. That's good weather. I like that weather. All right, 56 India. Jesus Christ. Celsius, that's intense. 42 Philippines. Oh, yeah.
Whoa, 56?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Damn.
Where is that?
That's in
That's it's Chandigarh in north part of India. Portsmouth is 18, Texas 81 Fahrenheit. That's 23 degrees. I'm getting my whatever. What's that? We got the metric system, and what's the other system? I keep forgetting it. What's the American system called? Has to be something, right? What it's called?
Called Imperial.
Imperial. That's it. The American system.
Right.
Cool. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So while we have people joining the meeting, and we know where you're from, why don't you let us know how many of you are startups versus agencies?
Just drop it in the comments.
Drop it in the chat.
All right. Cool. We've got some good heat. There's my pop-up. All right. We're live on the app. That's what we want. Consultant, startup. Happy birthday. Cheers, bro. Hey, Enzo. OG. Enzo used to be an MMA fighter. Everyone be careful. Dangerous. Is an MMA fighter. What am I saying? Starting and learning. All right. Sweet.
We're just gonna wait for another 2 minutes,
Yep.
and we'll get started.
All right. I know these are, I don't know how many of you know these familiar faces, but we're going to make them very familiar very, very soon. And yeah, it's going to heat session. I was going to throw in a pun about 56 degrees Celsius, but I'll shut up. I'll shut up. All right. Hey, Arno, how you going, man? Holy shit. I haven't seen you guys in a minute. Yasser. I can see you guys. Oh, you guys can't hear me. You just can't hear me. It's fine. I'm speaking to myself. That's all right. I've done worse.
Awesome. While Weber was speaking to himself, I think we could get started on this side of it. So, howdy, folks. Welcome to another awesome office hour session by Smartlead. And we've got a crazy bunch for you lined up today, right? We've got Rue from Nostra, we've got Nicholas from the Revenue Architects, and we've got Tariq from Cargo. From left to right, because I've got Tariq on my right. Right, Tariq, could you just take the floor, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Swapnil. Hello, everyone. So my name is Tariq. One of the people building Cargo. Cargo is a YC company. We did YC last summer, and we're selling to sales teams, so both agencies and companies that want to automate their sales playbooks to have more personalized messaging, to have higher conversion. And usually people who are using a lot of APIs and a lot of Google Sheets and are drowning under them usually look at Cargo to come and automate those playbooks so that they can scale. So happy to tell you more about what we do, and looking forward to this event. I think there's going to be some cool stuff that we'll all learn from this.
Awesome. Moving on, Nicholas, stage is yours.
Hey guys, Nico calling from south of France at the moment. I'm originally from here, but living in the States for about 5 years now. The last company I worked at was Medio Payment, where I basically joined in early stage and spent the last 4 years scaling the revenue operation function from zero to hundreds of millions of ARR, and decided to launch my own consultancy about 3 months ago called the Revenue Architect. And what I do is basically helping founders and early stage operators setting up the right revenue infrastructure for scale, the right tool, right infrastructure. So I'm really excited to talk about all those things with you guys today.
Awesome. And we've got Ru with us. Ru, all yours.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm based in Montreal, Canada, so it's 10 degrees and it's really hot for me here because we are just coming out of hibernation. I'm a growth lead at Nostra. We basically speed up e-commerce websites and that in sense get them more revenue and a higher conversion rate. And I have an agency called Start Growth Partner. We basically grow companies using the strategies that have worked for a lot of different companies. And I guess in the last 11 months, we have grown Nostra. I have led growth at Nostra, and we have grown 500%. So I would be loving to like share those strategies with you guys. Yeah.
Lovely. And yeah, with that said, we've got a lovely bunch here, right? The core concept for today, which we wanted to dive into, was go-to-market strategies, right? For majority of the startups and even agencies for that matter, right? We're going to be uncovering the secrets to what are some of the tools, the trends, and some major tips and techniques from the experts in the GTM space that we have for you right here. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's get started. So again, like for majority of the B2B companies out there, right? They have a core focus on growth. And this is an open question for the three of you, right? Like, what are some of the trends that you're noticing for your users or your clients today?
Yeah, I can jump in a little here. So one thing I have seen recently happen. So we have had like a lot. I have been doing growth for the last 5 years, and this year has been the most successful because we have like grown Nostra basically from 500K ARR to 2.5 million in the last 11 months. And we have added like $5 million worth of pipeline, and which is open yet to close. So we have closed 2 million, but there's 5 million open. And one thing, using the same strategies, one thing I have seen is a lot of new startup agencies are getting a lot involved in value-based event-driven strategies. And then they are leveraging social media on top of that to basically create new funnels. So what I mean by this is they're using they're giving free value to the industry. So they're not targeting just customers. They're targeting the whole industry on the whole. They're giving free value to it. And then they're going into basically the sales talk, the partnership talk. So this does two things. You can sell them and you can do a partnership with them as well if they're an agency, if they're founders. And on top of it, you can do a lot of things. One of the biggest thing, I guess, which is happening is, which we are doing in a couple of months, is we are doing an event with Forever 21. Nostra will be on the stage speaking with them. So this was basically from that strategy that is the biggest funnel. So I'm seeing a lot of that initiative. Maybe it's COVID that like a lot of people are interested in that social media.
Can I jump in and ask you, because the people over here are trying to get that practical piece over here. So what exactly is that strategy? Can we jump into that a bit? Can you break down what exactly you did that worked for you?
Yeah. So for example, let's say I'm a marketing agency, right? I'm selling it. I'm selling like ads. I'm running ads, Facebook ads for like e-commerce stores, right? So what I would do is like right now people are just hitting their customers that, hey, I'll do this for you. These are the results, right? What I have seen change is people are not doing that, but something that's working well is they are giving them free value. They will like say that, hey, they'll point out some problems, they'll fix some problems, they'll do events, for example, like a webinar kind of setup, and they'll bring people in and they'll basically solve issues for them. And after that, they would try to basically tell that, hey, this is fixed. Now we can like run ads on top of it. So basically, like a value-based event strategy, and you give free value to customers, and then you scale on top of it. I'll go a lot deeper on it later on in our chat. But yeah, that's like a big thing that I'm seeing
Okay,
recently.
cool, awesome, fair
Awesome.
enough.
Awesome. Cool.
I think I can pick up on that as well, actually.
Sure.
So I think Ruth's absolutely right. Selling in 2024 is much less transactional. And I feel like the teams that learn that quickly are the ones that are doing really well. For instance, what we've seen in our experience is the best sales teams have a very good idea of who their ICP is. So they have a definite list of people that they want to go after. And what they manage to do is they listen to what we call signals, right? So all of your ICP is usually giving you some signals that this is the good time to reach out to them. So that might be because they visited your website. That might be because they're hiring a particular role. That might be because they've engaged with your ads somewhere. And what they manage to do is they bring all that together, and then at the right time they would come to that person to say, "Hey, maybe it's time to talk about something more transactional than what you've been seeing so far." I think that's like the sweet spot. And what you can say is it looks a lot more like how we consume social media as well. So we're aware of a lot of tools and services around, but at a given point, we have like this need or the urge to actually buy something. I think that's what really worked today, 2024.
Could I ask an example of a tool that helped drive that?
I think retention.com is doing a very good job
RB2B, right?
with
Yeah,
their
RB2B.
testing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So of course we have the constraint that you can't identify everyone, and you only work in the US. But I think what is really good is not only do they identify that someone has visited your website, they also identify who that person is, right? So then you can go out to reach that person, and you can reach other people in the team. You can reach people one level above, one level below, to try to triangulate and have this penetration strategy into the company. That's a very good example. There's another one which is quite interesting. Sorry, Nicola, go ahead.
I was going to piggyback on what you said. I think we're hearing the term all bound a lot more these days, and that's connected to PLG getting out of the winter. We know PLG had some rough years, and outbound is really much connecting your inbound and your outbound funnel, because those user experience are universal. They cannot be thought as siloed. You're not going to be successful during outbound if you don't monitor your website traffic. And really concrete application of that framework is Service Bell has been going out with some interesting application and making the product sell a lot further than just the sign up flow. And I think that's the key in PLG motion, in especially these days where sales team need to do more with less and resource are scarce. We need product to be armed with the right feature, whether it's chat, personalized product experience, and specific feature in the product to really map out the different categories of users and act with sales touch uniquely when there's actual value. And it's all about customizing and segmenting your traffic by LTV and audiences, and making the most of your sales team from a unit economic standpoint.
Yeah, actually,
I think outbound is a very good term, actually, because what happens then is it becomes really important for different teams to work together. And that's also something we've seen. So marketing becomes much closer to sales, sales becomes much closer to growth, and so on and so forth. And so we have this new kind of sort of GTM team that is evolving that we didn't see before.
I was just going to call that out, Tariq. All bound is the term. And again, that was actually a really great point, Nicholas, which was uh, for most companies to be, if they're being fiscal with their approach, right? And they're being very conscious of their efforts. One of the core aspects is PLG, right? And to get PLG, you need to understand where you are driving your customers from, right? For you to enable them better with your product, right? Because that's where the growth would then take off. It's all about like how you're engaging your website visitors, right? Like one of the core tools that again I can shine light on is R2B2, right? It helps you identify your website visitors, right? You can nurture them through Clay. You can send sequences through Smartlead. You're running remarketing campaigns without putting any money on paid ads, right? And you're basically nurturing that sequences of users. You know whether you're targeting the right ICP or not. And again, you can get the intent of what kind of users do you have, right? And whether you're driving the right ICP for visitors on your website. But cool. That being said, quickly summarizing, we've got providing value, and then getting users to stick around. We've got intent-based selling, and we've got PLG. motions to, as like some of the top trends that we have in the B2B space when it comes to GTM, right? But could you then shine some light on, like, some of the strategies with respect to these trends that you folks are observing? And before you go deeper into that, what we have seen, right, again, because this is the data point that matters, uh, the AI market is set to boom to like $1,500 billion, right? And that's not a joke. That's an actual report by Gartner, right? It's growing at a CAGR of 36%, and that's set to happen by 2030. So, like, AI has become an influential part of, everybody's workflow, right? Especially when it comes to these three aspects and trends that you've covered. So, what are some of the strategies that you folks have observed or are leveraging along with AI for this use case?
I can start if you want. So I think that I see because we work with a lot of clients in our day to day. There's a lot of hype and there's a lot of expectations with what AI can do, right? And the spectrum really varies. There are people who want to have a completely AI SDR, so AI does everything. And then there's other people who want to have like only small components of their sales motion be managed by AI. I think we're starting to also see the limitations of what AI can do. So if you expect that you'll just have a bot that will completely write all of your sequences and all of your messaging, it's probably not going to work very well because you can tell. But what AI does really well in our experience is it's a great secretary. It's very good at giving you context, so synthesizing information. Before we mentioned Allbound, right? So when you're taking someone who came inbound and you have a lot of these information about what they've done with your brand, with your tools, etc., so product data, marketing data, etc., how do you synthesize that in a good way so that when you give it to your sales rep, they have all the context needed in one paragraph so they can pick up the call and have the conversation? I think there's a lot of good stuff that I've seen working in AI along those lines.
Yeah, I can piggyback on this. I have literally done this for Nostra, and we have seen like a huge impact. So AI has a huge impact, like a huge impact. What we have done, like for an example, a strategy is 4 months ago, 5 months ago, we at Nostra we work with 250 plus e-commerce stores. So we took all of our customer data, like everything, like how did we close them, what messaging was used, everything, and then we have a TAM database of like 200,000 more stores. And we created like a lead scoring model, which will basically give you like intent of, hey, based on your customers and how you close them and what, like where they are they in sports category? Are they like an apparel store, right? We learned basically that most of our ICP lies in sports and apparel, like, and we also learned where churn rate was, like where the churn rate was the highest. So we were avoiding it. So we basically created like this whole model. And another place, I guess, AI is like useful in organization is one thing that like I have seen for Nostra work is you don't add 2 million ARR in like 11 months without a churn rate, and like without having a lots of churn, right? We were able to scale this far because like we automated everything. Like I'm a growth lead at Nostra, so like I work with everybody, like account managers, I work with AEs, I work with SDRs, like they're all talking with me, right? But I have automated all of their workflow, and we can go a lot deeper into like how to do it and like tools like Smartleads and Cargo, which adds on top of it, which enables us to like basically automate it. Because one of the questions that like we got was like, hey, we are not engineers, we don't understand that like techie stuff, like just give me like the output, right? And so basically like these two are the facets and strategies that like anybody can use, which basically reduces your time on like working on those stuff, and you can test new funnels basically. So yeah.
Yep.
Before you jump in, I just as a note as well. I think what people would love is the practicality of it, and whether we want to jump in now or later. Swapna, that's obviously to you guys. But if you could share like a step-by-step example that people
Yeah,
can.
we've got that
Yeah.
for later. Vaibhav.
Okay, perfect.
We've
Sweet.
got that covered. So, but you know, what I wanted to cover again, and we'll go into this when we move on to our next section, which is like how are let's say for example for the audience that we have here today, right? Like probably Tariq or Nicholas, you could probably pick one of this up. But have you like experienced AI in terms of like let's setting some outbound flows, right? Which would move the needle for users, or let's say like getting users engaged from that PLG perspective using outbound, but having AI incorporated, right? Like for example, identification of website visitors, right? Or probably getting user segmented quicker, right? Using Clay, and then having that automated in terms of reaching out to these users via outbound. Right. Just wanted to take your perspective on that piece.
Go ahead,
I
Nicola.
can I can jump in. I can jump in with a use case of AI that going a bit above email. I think we talk a lot about emails. And I think there's other channels, especially phone, that's still very relevant, especially because of their saturation of certain email channels. And it's very important to build hybrid strategies. And we're looking at phone. The phone category has been pretty much revolutionized recently with some AI capabilities that have been added to phone dialers. And if we look at tools such as Oram or Nukes, they're really revolutionizing the way outbound is being done. And I have a client who is a cybersecurity company based in the US. And it's especially for difficult verticals that have low pickup rate. Those tools have extremely impactful results. And with that specific companies, they were hitting, maybe a couple or sometimes like on a good week, 3 demo a week. And we implemented Oram with that tool, with that team. And because we were able to address a much larger TAM and be able to leverage the AI feature of Oram that basically show you if numbers are warm or cold based on the entire data set collected from all their users on the phone number they're using, we're able to decide the sequence and the size of the parallel dialing that those sequences are going to be placed at. And that's super helpful to, basically engage with more clients and magnify the impact of your outbound efforts with a mix of email and phone.
And actually, I have a very good example piggybacking of what Nicola said. So he's right. I think there's a lot of untapped potential between phone and the touch points, right? So one thing that I've seen is one of our clients, what they did was they took transcripts from phone calls to try and enrich what kind of information is present in the CRM about stakeholders from that conversation, right? So typically, sales reps are usually bad at putting all of the information in the CRM because it's a lot of work. You can miss a lot of information very quickly. And suddenly, when you're reaching out to that prospect again in 6 months, you don't exactly know how many stakeholders involved, who was the owner, who was just a supporting, who was in the which departments, and so forth. But this information is present in the transcripts. So what they did was they took, for example, the Gong data, and they ran a little agent on top to be able to classify these stakeholders. And then down the line, when a sequence was sent to them or a new conversation was made to them, we could exactly identify who was a good person to put into which sequence. I think that's a very good example of using AI behind the scenes, not to write the email, but to do all of the sort of knowledge work behind to make sure that you get good conversion.
Yeah,
just to plug in a tool or two, sorry to cut you off. So Swapnil, so we have done something similar. So we basically took Gong calls and took the transcript and basically searched for keywords. So we used it for a different purpose, but which was SEO. But the same thing can be done for SEO purpose. You can go through transcript of closed customer calls, Gong calls, and you run an agent and you find keywords which they close for. And another thing, I just wanted to plug in the tool. The tool is called Akio. AKKIO.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
Love it.
it's an amazing tool, and you don't need to be like a techie or anything. It's like $50 a month as well. So you can create a lead scoring model based on your current customers, and you can basically give it the TAM database. It will tell you that, hey, these are the leads you should focus on more. And you can create workflows on top of it. And I would just want to if you're talking about outbound, I would just want to talk about a little bit of automations that you can do. You can use tools like Phantom Buster, which is like a LinkedIn auto connect, auto email tool, which you can use to you can do a lot of cross funnel outreach to the same people. So as you are sending in emails, make sure to reach out to them on LinkedIn and other platforms, right? And this goes on into in depth where you can be posting about them. You can key when they connect on LinkedIn, they will see what you're posting and basically about the ideas, right? And they'll know about the product even if they don't buy right now. Later on, they'll have an idea of who you were, so you can sell later on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also about nurturing the users, right? And again, rightly said, the moment you went on to automation, right? Like, uh, the thought popped up in my mind. AI can not just be used to like have these, use cases that you folks mentioned, right? It can also be used for something way more specific, which was already covered, which is how do we leverage data, right, for these kind of automations. So with that being said, we know for a fact that outbound starts with you building your list, right? So and it is a pain among younger growth teams, right? Like, because there are like like significant ton of like data scraping tools, lead list building tools, enrichment tools, right? Even validators out there, like it's just enormous, right? Like if you look at that market. So again, in your experience, what would be some of the top tools or data providers? Like, we could probably start off with Tariq, because again, like you've built automations for majority of these on cargo, right? What do you see from that trend perspective working best for list building?
Actually, list building is a very big pain. When I first came to this growth space, I didn't realize how painful it would be. And the reason is it's very hard to know from databases who is exactly your ICP and how to identify them, right? Um, so there's two things that I think that teams that do this well, they manage to do these two things. Number one, they always layer data sources. So they're not relying on one data source to build the entire TAM, enrich them, find the good signals. They always have two, three, four, five, right? There's some geographies which will be better enriched in, let's say, an Apollo or a Zoom Info, but there's other ones that won't be. Sometimes you'll need an email versus a phone number, and there'll be different providers for that. So I think layering is very important. We've had a lot of success with a tool called waterfall.io. So this works really well. There's another one called People Data Lab, which is great. I think you need to have as many sources as possible. The other thing that I've seen working well, and here AI comes back into the picture, is public data, right? So there's a lot of data available on websites, on publicly available domains, except that scraping data has been a real pain in the neck for a very long time. Anyone who's built these scraping tools and has tried to scale them knows how hard it is to maintain them, right? But what is cool with AI is you don't need to maintain that kind of stack anymore, because there's agents in between who will basically figure out all of the sort of like the hard part of scraping. They will process the text into some kind of easily cleaned object and then give it to you. So there's a tool that I found recently that I really like. It's called Firecrawl. So what they do is you give them a website and they bring you back clean text in Markdown. So it's always the same format of the text, and that you can use in your CRM, you can use in your sequence and so forth. So if you manage to layer your data well, and if you manage to use public data, I think you can go really far. Of course, the one inhibitor in doing this is I think the GTM industry is still pretty captive to these big providers holding you under contracts. So if you go with one of the big providers, you need to have a contract to be able to access the data, which means that you can't experiment very quickly. So more recently, we've seen the model of credit-based access to the data providers, whereas you don't need to sign a contract, you just get onto a tool, and the tool manages the credits for you so that you can experiment as much as possible. I think that's a very helpful shift that is helping a lot of teams that I see.
Yep. That
I'll go ahead with some of the tools I've been having some good success with. I think list building is a first step, and then you want to enhance those lists, right? But you want to get some juicy insight from website, from the web, pretty much. You want to capture. However, you want to be creative and find data points that are going to help you make your outreach relevant. That's the name of the game, right? So I think there's a few tools that we can use for scraping or crawling purposes. We have, I think Serper as an integration has been released with Cargo that is pretty awesome. So you can use that to begin with. And there's also my favorite one, Instant Data Scraper, that enables you to basically, extract website content and push it to different tables. And it's really useful, and it's free. And you can, for example, use ChatGPT to, use that data to convert that data into usable snippets of code for your email. You can go as far as, for example, one thing that I did is I used the Instant Data Scraper to basically scrape logo on the competitor's website, and then use ChatGPT to basically, identify the brands of those logo, and this I could do in Clay, for example, with the Playagent. And then the next step was basically to basically have the domain being found on that company, and then you can basically reach out to those competitor. That's a very simple way to get from website data to engagement in a smart and clever way.
Yeah, I guess this is where like I have made mistakes because I guess in the past like a year we have like on Snowflake we have around 2.5 million contacts, right? And I use all the tools like in existence. I use Apollo, I use Zoom Info, I use like Contact Out, and like all the other tools. But one of the issue with like this kind of list creation was a lot of those contacts are not even valid. Like a lot of them like they bounce. The bounce rate is really high. So we have had this issue, and like we came across waterfall.io. It's basically called waterfall.io. And one thing which is really good about their tool and their services, they don't have one source. So they have like 16 different like data vendors, and they basically look. They don't look at just like, hey, this person is here, and like, hey, we got the person from Apollo. They look at like 16 different sources. So the data is of high quality. And another thing they are doing that we are working with them right now is, let's say you have a contact. They're building a tool that will go on LinkedIn, like a bot, and it will see if the person exists on LinkedIn. So like a checker, basically on top of like good quality data as well. So yeah, that like I think there's a lot to be done in this data direction, but yeah, we are trying to like figure out on our own as well. So yeah.
There's actually one very good use case where you mentioned validation rule. So it's very interesting. We had a lot of success recently with our clients using Scrubby. So the science of how it works is that when you send out an email, let's say you send out 100, around 30 are usually likely to be sort of catch-all emails, right? So they don't really belong to a particular person. And your usual sort of email verifier, like zero bounce or debounce, etc., will tell you that it's not a valid email. But in fact, 2/3 of these emails will still be valid. And the good thing is, because they're invalidated by the usual tools, no one is sending out emails to these email accounts. So if you manage to separate with something like Scrubby, the catch-all emails that are actually valid, right? You arrive at the top of the inbox of these contacts that are usually not being emailed, and you have a very good conversion rate. I think there's a lot of sort of optimization you can do by having the right set of tools talking to each other to get to the right person.
Yep. I think one of the other tools that, which is currently like, a big player in this market. And again, solving the exact use case, right? Like Tariq, you hit the nail right on the head. It was, no company or business is going to rely on just one source, right? They have multiple sources at the back of their hands. Clay does exactly this, right? They are an aggregator across multiple different sources, right? And they help you like enrich it end to end. So Clay is also another tool to explore, again, apart from all the other tools mentioned. But with that being said, Nico, I wanted to call out something, right? Like in your LinkedIn posts, you mentioned like the modern data stack, which is like, super critical to an effective GTM. Can you just break that down for our audience and, let us know what it means?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a RevOps guy. So my goal is to basically teach all the data from all the funnels to make sense of that data. And I think especially for PLG company, there's a lot of value in bringing the data infrastructure early on. And it helps you, for example, create product usage trends graph and identify area of your product that needs to be improved, to build more personalizable content and marketing and product experience. And it has a cost, but arguably basically the value of it at the beginning is going to be tremendous, because you're going to be able to see how your early users perform. And those models, the business model of those companies are usually user-based, so you're not going to pay that much from the beginning. And I think it's coming as a paradigm kind of change, where we need to see data team as a revenue center, right, more than a cost function. And I think that's a big change. And we've seen, obviously the Guillaume Caban's work around building, modern data stack and so on. And that's basically helped a lot of evangelization on the market, but there's still a lot of work to be done for data team to be given value at the early stage. And that comes by making sure that those data teams are really much embedded in growth team, so that the work of the growth team can be magnified by those infrastructure.
I think it's a very good point, because if you look at the GTM teams that do really well today, either they have data people embedded into those teams, or the GTM teams are becoming more data themselves, right? Because we were talking about AI and context and reaching people at the right time and so on and so forth. You can only do that if you have data to feed to that AI or those pipelines, right? I think that's where the data warehouse thing becomes very important. And what is also very interesting is it used to be very painful to set up and manage a data warehouse, right? That was a core engineering skill. It's becoming easier and easier now to set these things up. So not only are the big data providers like Snowflake getting much easier to use, there's also new tools. So there's ClickHouse, there's Weld, etc., that allow you to set up your data warehouse pretty quickly. And so at Cargo, we're very bullish on sort of centralizing all of your data into one base. And that's where you find your big wins, right? Where you make all these different tools talk together in one storage.
Yep. And that's a good call out, Tariq. Again, like for a GTM team and for a go-to-market to be effective, right? It's not always about the tools, right? It's also about the teams, because collaboration plays a huge role. You're not just like one marketing team that is pushing out like messaging, right? Using multiple channels or tools. It's multiple teams, right, that are collaborating on this effort. You've got the product team, which is building the product, taking the insights, right? You've got the engineering team, which is on a timeline. You've got marketing, which is working with the strategy and data team to build out like a proper comprehensive scope of how that effort goes down, right? You've got the creative teams making sure the messaging and comms is on the right place, right? So that brings me to the next aspect of our meeting. But before we dive into that, there was a really great question that was asked, right, by a user, which is, and Bryce has asked this question, which I don't want to push for out, like, because it's super, super relevant. He says, with so many amazing tools available, right? Like as an agency or even a startup, it's very easy to get into a decision paralysis, right? Because you've got so many tools to choose from, and most of them are good, right? Like, so in that situation, how would you go about evaluating tools, right? Let's take the use case of, let's say, a data tool. How would you go about evaluating a data tool, like, rather than using 50, 60, 70 of them that are there on the market?
Yeah, I can answer quickly this one. I think consolidation is the one word answer. Making sure you have a tool that enable you to do as many things as possible. Because those tools are going to get you more value for your money. And you don't want to create feature overlap. You want to make sure all the tools that you're bringing in have a significant feature that you're bringing them for. So Snowflake is a really good example of those tools that are aggregating feature. Apollo is also a really good example of a platform, basically CRM, a list building tool. Basically, that's basically the trend that we're seeing. Aggregations of features towards one platform is going to help a small team save costs and be more efficient in creating less data silos.
Yep, that's absolutely.
And I can actually jump onto that. So I feel like these aggregating tools, they're almost sort of becoming marketplaces for you to be exposed to new tools, right? Because and this is exactly what happened in the software space a few years ago. Now it is happening in what we call the revenue tech space, meaning that you have a lot of these tools out there that can help you do your job better, drive your metrics up. But what used to be the case is whenever you want to try something out and they have an API, you can't use the API until you go to an engineer, right? So you're like, hey, I saw something, but I can't use it. Please, engineer, help me out to see if this is going to work or not. I think what we're moving towards to now is more and more no code in the revenue space, which means that if there's a new tool and they have an API, you quickly spin up a key and you test and you see if it works, right? And the best teams that are able to do that are doing a lot of tests. So they know what their goal is. They're scanning the market for what's going on. And then as soon as they see a tool, they can quickly test it. I think that aggregating space in the middle, that no code space, is very, very important in this trend.
And I guess just to add to that, if the tool is easy to use for like all the teams, not so techy, with like good support, I would literally give Smartleads as an example, because we use it on the marketing side, we use Smartleads on the sales side, SDRs use it. And if there are issues, we basically quickly solve it. We have used instantly. We have used like every other like outbound tool out there, like Bravo, Apollo, HubSpot. Like there's nothing that I haven't used, I think, at this point. But like one winner for us was like Smartleads was really easy, and you guys are adding features every single day. And I got close to like Smartleads, basically talking to the support team that, hey, I have this issue, like what do we do? And it was really quick to fix. So I would say like it's a tool which would be like easy to use for all the like for a collaborative team would be a better choice, I guess.
Yeah. And again,
I feel like Ru is your best salesperson, Swapnil.
absolutely.
We have three Smartleads accounts. We are paying for like three Smartleads accounts. So like, of course, I'm gonna pitch them because like it was like a pain. We have used everything. Like we even have everything. We have Instantly and everything, but we just moved away from it completely. We are just using Smartleads for everything right now.
I'm putting up a heart out right now. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But again, for most of the people that are asking the question, there are people in the chat as well who are asking between Instantly, Salesforce, and Smartly. Again, not being shameless and putting out a plug here, but we would never push ourselves out that way. Each of these tools, and again, coming back to the point which Nico and Tariq have also covered, right? What are some of the factors that you cover in terms of getting over that decision paralysis? Simple, right? If you're a small scale startup, right, and you do not have enough funds, you want to be frugal, you want to make sure you're getting a GTM engine out with like zero to little cost, right? It's the best way to do this is most of these tools that you have, and again, you'll be able to figure out which one are the top ones. Take the top 3, top 4. Most of these offer a 14-day free trial or a free trial. Use it, understand which one works best for your use case, and then go ahead and start using it, right? That way you're going to be able to figure out and break from that decision paralysis really quickly. You will not be able to break out from it if you don't use these tools. You won't know what tool works best for you, right? Rather than listening to what people have to say, use it yourself, right? Figure out which one works for you. Yep.
And one final point to add this thing. Instantly are fabulous people. Just full respect to them. I have a lot of credit to where they are. To just make it easy, because everyone asks this question. It's like, oh, whatever. It's very simple. Instantly is Apple, Smartly is Android. Cool. You want something straightforward, non-configurable, does what it's meant to do. Great tool. You want hyper configuration. You want to control every element of what you want. You want access to everything. Want to be the first. Smartly. So each are different audiences, different problems, solve different markets. So hopefully that makes it easy for you. But try everything out and see what works for you, to be honest.
Well said.
Actually, I have something to say here. It's a very, very important point. We don't live in a world today in the revenue tech space where there's one tool that will rule them all, right? We're in a very fragmented space because the people we're addressing to are very different to each other, right? So the sales team that you would talk to come in all shapes and sizes. They have all kinds of motions. No one really resembles. I think it's very important for a salesperson today to know which segment they belong to, right? And for your segment, they're usually a better tool for you, right? So if you know in which segment you belong to and you're testing enough, then you probably end up using the good tool. We get a lot of this conversation as well for us because people are asking us, hey, what kind of person should be using a Zapier versus a Clay versus a Cargo, right? Or something, maybe even something older like Workato. We're all built for like different segments and different use cases. Like different teams of different maturity will have a different tool. I think it's very important to realize what your needs are so that you can pick the right tool.
Absolutely. Really well said, Tariq, right? Like again, and the SaaS space is a competitive one, right? You've got, for me, and this is something that stuck by me, right? Like by what one of my mentors told me, right? SaaS space is always going to be dominated. So, I mean, you don't have to be the first to win in SaaS. You could be the last, but if you're solving for your audience's use cases really, really well, you're already winning the market, right? It's as simple as that. But in the interest of time and making sure we're covering the core use cases, right? Quickly jumping back, and this is where I want to actually circle back to Ru, right? Which is, Ru, you spoke about event marketing being one of the core drivers, right, for Nostra. Could you, like, just probably help the audience understand how did you leverage outbound for event marketing to grow Nostra's revenue growth?
Yeah, this is my section, I guess. I'm a killer at that. I hope I am. I'll give you guys like a strategy which you can like all go ahead and do it. Basically, so go ahead, get your data, use waterfall, use like other tools. You probably have some customers. You're a startup, you have some customer, you have an idea of where your ICP lies, right? You can go and use a tool like Akio, easy to use, no tech needed, simple. You go and find that out of those STAM data that you gather, these are the people I want to go after, right? So now after doing all of that, you have a really good list, which AI thinks, you think, everybody is in agreement that like this is the people that we want to reach out to. You can go in two directions here. One is go and do a lot of cold outbound to them. Same time, use tools like Smartleads and others to like push that. But at the same time, one thing that have worked like immensely for, and it's working for everybody, I think, that's around us, is event-based marketing. So basically, you're an agency, you're probably solving some sort of like a problem, right? So do some form of an event, like bring partners and bring other people in the industry, and basically do some event like this, that, hey, we are going to talk about like e-commerce, the pain points, and then basically give free value. And the value has to be value. It shouldn't be like a general talk. It should be something like, hey, this is what we did, and basically answer questions. There you will build relationships. And we honestly, we get like 30 meetings a month from just this event funnel. We have honed the funnel so well now that we are doing in-person events. So one thing that we started doing like 6 months ago was we started doing the same event marketing thing using tools like Luma, Eventbrite, and we'll post that, hey, we are in Denver this week, all DTC growth people, we are going to have a meet, a free dinner, basically. So in Denver, we'll do like a meet of 20 people, and everything is on us. Everything is like on us, and we'll basically build relationship. This does like two things. One is they can't churn that easy. Like they can't ghost you that, hey, I don't want to use the product, I don't like it. When you go and ask them, they will respond because you have a in-person close relationship. Same way with like an event way, right? Like, because if somebody's asking me a question and if I answer it and I give them some sort of like deep value and I help them out, we have like a close relation now where they have to like say that, hey, this is the issue. So I think what this does is this like reduces the churn rate crazily. And even if they churn, you can go back to them 6 months later and they will like, if they like the product, if the product is delivering, it will do a lot of things. And apart from this whole funnel, one thing that like we did the best was promotion on top of events. So if we are having a partner, we'll ask for a backlink that, hey, can you post it on your LinkedIn and give us a backlink? We'll convert all of these events, we'll convert into social media posts. So like, it's the same thing like Gary Vee says that basically influencers are ruling the world. People like talk about something and then they start a company, right? But you guys already have a tool. You guys already have a company. So why are you not doing like, why are like companies not becoming influencers, right? So that's the whole idea. So like do these events, post like crazy, ask for backlinks, people will go to your website. And then you can go into tools like, hey, people are coming in on my website. I don't know, use default.com, use Clay, use Cargo to like monitor the people coming in, hone in your website for SEO. So I think all of this is so connected. And this is where like the other part of AI and automation comes in, that, hey, now like this is the marketing funnel. How can I get SDRs? How can I get sales teams? How can I get them all involved? So you can like start pushing emails using like smart leads that we use. You can choose based on your need, but basically you can use all of these tools to do like a multiple vertical funnel, basically, where you are hitting the same people and they are hearing about your product from everywhere. And then they come to you like, hey, I heard about this from like some event and stuff. So this is something that has worked crazily well for us. This is Anybody can do it. Just figure out data, go create an event on Luma or Eventbrite, start promoting. You're probably not going to get it in the first month, but keep doing it. And like in 3-4 months, you'll have a funnel where you'll be like giving free value. The funnel will be creating content as well for your own company, and you'll be getting a lot of backlinks. So yeah, that's the whole strategy, I guess.
Yep. And to, like, I actually circle back to what Ru said, right? That's exactly what we did, right? At Smartlead, follow the same strategy. We went no cost at this point, right? We're not paying a single penny for Luma because it's free to use, right? We're not paying money for Zoom because we're on the webinar. We're not on the webinar plan. We're on the large meeting plan, which is still like very little. And we've got our own media channels, right? Like majority of the office hour messaging is pushed out through our Slack, right? And we're not on the pro plan on Slack. So you can do this with little to no cost, right? And the point is to set up multiple touch points, right? You just need to have the right engine set up, right? It's a matter of doing it again and again and again to figure out what works best for you, and then doubling down once you know what's working best for you, right? That being said, Ru, we've got some questions which are coming your way. People are trying to promote companies' webinars for AI products. What you can do is,
I
Ru,
can drop.
yeah, you can just drop your calendar link so that people can reach out to you. Right. Ru is a killer when it comes to events. He's been doing this. He's literally, driven $2.5 million worth of growth just doing events, right? For his company. And that's
Just to
insane.
add something cool, sorry to cut you off, something cool, I guess. Funny is, I was working with a VP of growth of like mine when I joined. So we were like 2 people on the marketing team. And he left me basically like 6-7 months ago because he started his own company. Like we grew like this whole funnel. We grew a YouTube channel called E-commerce Event to 17,000 subscribers in the last year. And he just left the company. He started his own thing. So like this is not just one, like this funnel can like be changed into a lot of different things. You can do partnerships. You can like do the same people you are bringing on the events. You can like do partnership with them as well, right? So that's like a new partnership funnel running on. You can like there's a lot you can do on top of it. So I would prefer like people get into like intent-based marketing in addition to like the traditional ways of how you do it, and use all these tools, because like I have seen one of the biggest change, which is companies are growing really fast. Like I saw something on Twitter yesterday, like some chat GPT wrapper, like a chat GPT dating advisor or something. It was doing like 160K like MRR monthly. And it's basically like a wrapper. It's chat GPT. The guy just added like a dating advisor, and like it's doing like what, like crazy ARR. So like people are growing really quick, and this is like what they are doing. So everybody should, I guess.
And I think, if I may add here, I think what companies like Nostra, and we work with other ones like Weights and Biases and HP, etc. These like companies that do really well to capture value from this events funnel is that they capture all of the data that's being created. So all of these tools that you've mentioned usually have an API, they have a webhook, right? And every time someone engages with that, so they sign up or they leave a comment or they actually attend, or even if they don't attend, etc., all of those are first party intent data that you then push back to any storage that you have. That can be a data warehouse, it can be a table, etc. Use that to like get more and more enrichment about your prospects, right? And that will help you down the line when you do the outbound, when you take the meetings, to like really like to tackle them at the good time. I think there's a very strong data component to this that most people take for granted. It's not just YOLO doing a marketing event and then something will come back. There's a whole strategy of data behind it.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a company that I really like to Common Room is doing a lot of good work on that end as well. They connect, first party, second party, third party data really well. So connecting social, social data, product data, first party data, and third party data, enabling, tagging and segmentation to activate those audience in a very, smart manner. That's one of my favorite tools out there in that space. Shedding light on a dark funnel. That's kind of like, the name of the game at this point.
Yep. Yeah, well said. And in the interest of time, right? Like folks, because I want the users to drive as much value as possible. We're going to open the floor for some questions. So folks, you know what to do. Bottom right corner, raise your hands. And if you have any questions related to GTM, outbound, list building, right? Tools in this space, please go for it. For everybody who's asking whether the recording will be available, yes, we're going to share it tomorrow. It's going to be
Yeah.
out on so yeah.
Well, if we're waiting on the questions to pop up, if they're okay, let's go for Matt's question.
Yep, go for it, Matt. Just give me a minute. I will spotlight you. Go for it. Matt, I think you're on mute. Not able to hear you.
I hear you, mate. Nope. You might have to check out the headphones. Yeah, no worries. Do your thing.
Can you guys hear me?
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. I have a question regarding third-party data. I think a lot of the things I've worked with in the past have to do with first-party data, whether it's event data, trying to see who clicked what, who downloaded what. I know there's a whole industry on third-party data. I've personally never experienced it, and I never recommended anybody to experience it because I haven't tried it. I guess my question is, what's your feedback if you're looking at, I mean, I've heard 6th Sense was pretty bad, but G2 and things like that, are those useful? Do those make sense, or should we just focus on, like getting data from LinkedIn and others to get the ICP, and then first-party data mostly for behavior?
I can take this one if you want. We work a lot with clients who are using these signals, both third party and first party, right? If you're very lucky and you have a very specific ICP, you'll find one piece of third party data which will be super interesting for you, will drive a lot of conversions. So I have some clients who are just looking at, let's say, job ads, and because a particular prospect is hiring a particular role, that's a great timing to contact them and convert them, right? So they have a lot of success with that. Most people, though, fall in the category where to use third-party data well, you have to use multiple third-party data pieces. So there's multiple points that are interesting for you. And what you want to do is bring them together in some sort of score, right? So as soon as the overall threshold is crossed, because multiple points, like multiple data pointing to the same thing, that's when it becomes interesting to use. So I think it's important to sort of layer on multiple intent data points there. Predictleads is a very good option to do that. There's something called DataChimp, which is also very good. There's a few different providers out there that you need to try to make some sort of super score that will give you that good conversion.
Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Just give me a minute. We've got Wayne. I'm going to remove you from the spotlight and up you go, Wayne. Go for it.
Hello, everybody. So I'm kind of new to all this lead generation, but I'm still learning. I've got a lot of questions. So, and as you know, there's a lot of smart leads is one. Yeah, I get it. But I'm trying to scrape from Google Maps, and I've tried to do. Have you guys ever used Lead Sniper at all? Know anything like? Or give me some insights on scraping like from Google Maps or anything like that?
What information are you trying to scrape more specifically?
So like my different niches that I pick, I'm looking for email addresses mostly, to contact business. Sorry, I'm on calls, so that's my scanner going off. Sorry. But anyway, so I'm looking for scraping like email addresses, because because believe it or not, like I've seen a comment there, Alex said that Google Maps, that actually you can really get a lot of information from businesses to say, hey, here's what I have. But I'm just looking for like scraping email addresses, like from Google Maps, I guess.
Got it. So when so in interest of time and to make sure you get the most value for this, what I would recommend you to do is go check out Eric Novoslowski's channel. If you're there on our Slack community, just drop me a ping.
Yeah, I am. Yep.
Right. And he's actually built out a video for scraping and step-by-step process for scraping, Google Maps.
Okay.
So that's something
Okay.
that you can definitely follow.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome, folks. Any other questions?
All right, we got a light.
Yep.
Here's the rest
Yes,
of
hi guys.
Oh.
Good morning. Give me
Hey,
1 second. I'm
Stanley.
putting my headphones properly so you can hear me properly.
We
Okay,
can
good
hear you
morning.
loud and clear.
Good morning, guys. Yes. Now, further question that the other guy was asking, Wayne. Now, besides Apollo, guys, I script for Apollo a lot, right? What other platform would you suggest for scraping, but as cheap as Apollo, though, meaning that I can scrape Apollo for really good price? Do you know of a similar platform that can be scraped with the same data? Of course, Nicolas, bonjour, vous parlez le français, hein? So,
Oui,
like,
oui, oui.
like Nicolas was saying, I need, of course, first name, last name, and email address mostly, you know? Do you know of a similar platform that can replicate Apollo?
So what's not working with Apollo?
I
No,
think he's
Apollo
just
is
asking if
build lists.
there's a similar enough tool
Alternatives
of
to
Apollo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
alternatives to
alternatives to
Apollo.
Apollo.
Well, I think Clay is a really good. You have aggregation, and Apollo is it's their own data. With Clay, you can go like deeper with more providers. So I'll definitely recommend looking this up. They have a free trial. So that's definitely one thing you should explore.
I'm not sure
I
if
think,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Stanley. So if I understand correctly, you're trying to just like diversify the amount of data sources you have, right? I think to answer your question
Correct.
properly, what I would ask
Correct,
you
Tarek.
is,
Correct.
what kind of market segment are you after, right? So whom are you trying to scrape from these tools, and what kind of information are you trying to get out of them, right? So are you trying to look at people's experiences? Are you like trying to look at how much funding a company has raised and stuff like that? And if you don't know yet, if you're still in the sort of experimental phase, then I would say go to an aggregating tool. Go to a tool that has multiple data sources, so that you can see if it has good coverage or not before sort of precising one tool to use.
Yep. Well said, Tariq, and exactly what Nicola was also saying. You can use Clay if you want to aggregate it over multiple sources and get the bang for buck, right? Because instead of going after one source which is giving you the respective details you need, you have one aggregator which is aggregating it over multiple sources and giving it to you, right? Something similar to Clay. So yeah, and Wayne, no need to apologize. Your question is not out of place. In the interest of time and making it sure for other people to answer, is where I recommended the video, because I wanted you to follow the step-by-step process and have the bang for buck for the process you want to learn. So yeah, that's going to be time intensive, hence the recommendation. We've got one last question that we can entertain. Sahil, go for it.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yep.
Hey, great. So my question, I'll like straight away jump to the point. My question is like, in regards to outreach, there's one of the major challenges that we face is email deliverability. So is there any SaaS product or AI or software that can help us manage multiple domains and multiple inboxes for this for taking care of DMARC, SPF, and other records alongside
Smartlead
your
in
different
6
domains?
weeks. Smartlead in
Right?
6 weeks. Smartlead in
Okay.
6 weeks. But before Smartlead in 6 weeks, you can check out DMARC Checker, Glock Apps, MailReach, Email on Acid, and Litmus.
Okay, so in regards to Smartlead in 6 weeks, like
We're building our own. We're revamping a whole segment of the product and building a email
Okay.
deliverability engine between the tool that will do all that stuff for you. The SPF, DMARC, DCAM, your monitoring, your checks, your placement tests that are going to be dynamic. All that's going to be handled completely natively within the product.
all right, that answers my question. Thank you very
Cool.
much.
But if you don't want to do that, like I said, 6 weeks is a bit of a minute. You
Yeah.
can check out, like they said, Easy DMARC. You can check out Litmus. You can check
Mhm.
out MailReach. MailReach is it's okay. Glock Apps is I think industry leading, and you got Email on Acid.
Okay.
They're all pretty good.
Someone said infra-mail in the chat. I'm actually
Yeah.
using that one, so it's a good one.
If it's working for you, fabulous. Otherwise, we tend not to comment on SMTP providers.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sahil. And folks, Bru, Tariq, Nicholas, do you have time for one more question? We've got, I think, someone else who's raised their hands.
Sure, let's go.
Awesome. Mate, I'm so sorry. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Just you can just okay. I'm gonna say Umene. Is it correct?
Yes, Omet. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I'm working for this ed tech company called Instructify, and we offer AI solutions for higher education institutions as well as e-learning providers. Specifically, we have an AI essay grader, and we have a 24/7 office hour feature to help professors streamline, office hours. So we've been trying to promote our product via webinars, and our current strategy is to market in Facebook groups, but it's been kind of hit or miss. We've also been kind of reaching out to our network, but it's also been kind of hit and miss as well. So like, how would you promote like webinars for like the greatest reach possible into our ideal target audience?
Yeah, I can take this. I would say like I don't really know what kind of webinar you're pushing right now. So is it like basically the product? You're basically pushing the product. I'm assuming that during the
Yes.
webinar. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's what you don't do. So I'll just give you an example. We did a webinar 7 days ago on May 2nd with Aftership. So they're like a 50 million ARR company. It's a huge brand in e-commerce. And we did a webinar on AI and automation. So basically simple talks on like tools, what companies can do, just how to implement AI and automation. Like talk on that. And there was like 500 people in the webinar. There's so much interest that I have seen that I'm probably gonna do one more in the next like couple of weeks with another partner. So I would say go for general topics and promote general topics where people are interested, and then sneak in your product into that. So you'll get a lot of traction. You would have to figure out like where your ICP is. So when you do the targeting, do it that way. And another thing is instead of Facebook group, try Eventbrite or like Luma or like these other tools. Even LinkedIn events are pretty huge. Like people come on LinkedIn events as well. So I would say like change a little bit of like the value proposition and also try different channels. That would work really great for you, I think. And if I guess if you want to talk more, I have to know a little bit more of the product to like figure out ICP. Like feel free to like book 30 minutes. We can talk more on that for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was very helpful.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you so much, folks, for joining another Office Hours. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Tariq, Nicholas, Bru, for making this awesome. Before you drop off, could you just drop your LinkedIn links in the chat for people to, connect with you, get to know you better, and obviously reach out to you if they need any help. And yeah, as soon as that's done, thank you folks. Really happy hosting you for another Office Hours. Thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
For all those who are not on our Slack channel, please do join it. Right, we'll also be adding Ru, Nicholas, and Tariq to that Slack channel. So if you want any questions or have any questions, feel free to reach out to them directly over there. Cool. We'll see you next week. Thank you, folks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Smartlead, for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Thank you, guys.